Now, the type of hair that I'm trying to go for is more like this. So, of course, we're going to see more of the forehead. And then we got this design on the side of the hair like this. And it kind of goes below his neck. You can see a little bit on his neck here. And then you got the back of the head. It has hair. And there's going to be, I want a little bit less hair here. And then here, there's going to be more hair at the top. Okay. Now, how do we control the type of hair that we want? If we want less hair on certain parts, if we don't want hair on certain parts, how do we do that? So we have to create a weight map for our hair sculpt. Let's select our hair sculpt, and we have to hide the hair first so that when we're painting our weight map, we could see exactly what we're painting. So to hide the hair, let's go to our particle properties here and scroll down and go to the children, and the display amount, we could go ahead and set it to 0 so we don't see anything on the viewport. We just see the hair guides, which is fine. And with our hair geometry sculpt selected, we could go ahead and just isolate it, Shift H, and we could go Control Tab, and let's go to weight paint. All right. Now everything is red. Red means that all the hair is going to be showing. If we paint this blue, no hair will be showing. If we paint it green, there's going to be a little bit of hair. It's more like in between the red and the blue color. And if yellow is kind of near the red, you're going to see some hair, but not as much hair as the red. Okay, so red is the main color that will show all the hair. So it's like having a 100% opacity. And basically, I'm just comparing it to transparency, but red is going to show everything, it's going to reveal everything, and then blue is going to hide all the hair. Anything in between those colors is going to give us a fade, all right? So how do we paint this out, and how do we create a map for this? First, make sure that you go to the vertex group area here. All right, so if you go on there, all right, so right now, it looks like I have a group here. I'm just going to go ahead and remove all that group. And I'm going to create a brand new one. And I'm going to call this one here, map. And press enter. And then we could go ahead and the first thing that we're going to be using is going to be the gradient tool here. And let's go to our side view. If you just click and drag like this, right? Click and drag from top to bottom, you could see that it's going to give us like a rainbow color. So if you look here, this is the part that's going to have the most hair, and then this one is going to be no hair at all, the blue area. And then in between, so here, the orangey color, you're going to see some hair, but not as much hair as the red. And as it gets to yellow, it gets a little faded out, and then green, even more faded out, and then light blue. As you get more and more into the blue color, you're going to start to see the hair fade away, all right? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and undo this. Onto the side view again, onto the gradient. With that said, I do want the more hair at the top to begin with, right? So maybe something like this would be fine. All right, so that's just a base right there. Okay, and of course, you could also actually blur this out. You could even smear it. If you go to the smear tool here, we could go ahead and smear this like this. You could spread out the color the way you want it. All right, you could even blur this out. You could go to the blur tool and just blur this out to get a better fade. Now, while I'm painting, I do like to have this. I like to have symmetry on, and also we go over here and onto the symmetry. We could turn on topology color, and that's going to be on the tool section here. Turn on topology mirror. So now, if we go to our smear here, and let's say we start smearing, you see how it's doing it on both sides. So when we are smearing this area, if we smear here, it also does on the other side. The topology mirror only works if your geometry is 100% symmetrical. All right, that's why I was telling you guys when you have created your hair sculpt to make sure that the number of polygons you have on one side here should be exactly the number of polygons you have on this side, has to be exactly the same, and the amount that you have chosen and the positioning of the geometry has to be the same. Alright, so I like to use the smear tool a lot to just kind of drag this down, because I know the blue means no hair, but I don't want it completely gone. I want to have a little bit of hair here. So I'm going to just move this down using the smear brush like this. So just smearing it down, have it come down like this. All right. And over here, I want this to actually be no hair at all. So if this is green, that means we're going to see some hair on this area. So I'm going to make that area completely blue. So I'm going to go to my draw brush here, and then I mainly just use the draw brush here. So if you click on draw, you could adjust the weight. A weight of 1 will allow you to paint red, and a weight of 0 will allow you to paint more of a blue color. Okay, so keep that in mind, and anything in between will give you one of these color here, green or yellowish color. So I don't want any hair here, so that means I have to paint that blue. So that means I have to set this weight to 0 and bring this down. And yeah, just gonna go ahead and paint this out. Paint that out. There you go. And also here, let's see, paint this out. This makes it so much easier if you have topology mirror turned on. And if you paint around here, you could see when I painted this area, it had painted at the back. I'm gonna go ahead and undo that. All right. I went over here and I turn on, right now front faces only, but it seems to be like, even though if I do this, it's painting, yeah, it's not painting at the back. If I do that, it's like a hit and miss, you know? So I feel like this doesn't really work as much, because even though I paint it here, right, and then it doesn't do it at the back, if I start to do some certain areas, I have to double check and make sure everything's still good. But yeah, it's good to, I suggest you double check everything. Keep on checking. Make sure you're not painting anything at the back. And I like to do it from this view, because it just makes it a lot more careful, so you're not painting blue at the back. Go. I usually don't have problem when doing it on the side. So on the side here, there you go. And then maybe paint this out like this. Go. So everything in the back is still good. I always check the back part. There you go. Checking again in the back. Everything's great. And yeah, just really take your time on this. This is one of the most important parts. Make sure that you get this clean as much as possible. I want this area here, I want this area to be red, so I'm gonna go set the weight to 1, and then just make this area completely red. This area here, there you go. Get a nice red color. There you go. And looking over here, just paint this out red. Paint this red at the top. I really want all the hair to show up at the top here. Completely red around this area. And here, also the hair has to be showing here. And then I could go to my smear and just start to kind of fade this out down here. And you know what? instead of smearing it, I could do a little bit of blur. I'm going to go to my blur, strength is at 1, and just going to blur this out. So do a little blend. The blur tool is more like a blend. You can blend the edges. And I'm going to go to smear. Smear this down. And I'm going to go ahead to have a little bit more nice transitioning. I'm going to go and pull this down. So you could see more of the yellowish color as it blends in. The more you spend your time on this, just gonna have it blend like this and smear it, the more you're gonna have a nice fade. It just takes time. Then maybe the green could show up here. More of the green could show up here. There you go. More of the green there. And you could also paint this using the smear brush going horizontal direction. All right. Smearing it horizontally like this. Okay, and then I'm gonna go to my blur and just blur this out. Blur that out. And a nice blur. Okay, and I want this to be really red around here. Right around here. And then I'm gonna go to my blur and then do a little blur again around this area. And I'm gonna go to smear. Just gonna smear this down like this. There you go. Do a little smearing. Like around this area. It also depends on your geometry here, how it looks. Okay, so something like that. And I want to see how it looks like. Let me just gonna pull this down. And I'm gonna go ahead and blur this. Alright, so that is all going to... Ooh, I thought I named this hair map. I swear I did. Oh, looks like it created a new one. So I'm going to go ahead and rename this again. I'm going to go hair map, okay? So I just renamed this. So check your vertex group, right? After you paint, it's always a good idea to check your vertex group and make sure that the name is called hair map. I mean, you could name it whatever you want really, but just make sure it has a name that you actually know because you're going to link that map. You're going to link that map to the particle system. All right, so let's go and check what we have. All right, let's go back to object mode, and then we can go to our particles here. Okay, so how do we link that vertex group that we have made, the vertex group called hair map, with our painting on there? Okay, so go to your particles and then scroll down, and then you're gonna see the vertex group section here. This is where you're gonna link it up. Go over here, scroll down, and then you're gonna see density, right? Click on where the slot is for the density, and there's a group there. It's still named group. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm gonna go here and rename it hair map. All right, I'm gonna go back again. Sorry about that, guys. Scroll down, go over here. So now it's hair map. All right, and let's go to our display amount and crank it back up. Display amount for children 300. All right, so you can see the difference, right? So at first we had hair all over here, hair all over here, hair all over there, right? And now we only see it around certain areas of the head. So if I go over here and X this out, all right, so I removed the hair map so you could see the difference. This is without the hair map, and now if I add the hair map, you see the difference there. And we could always go back to this. We could select our hair sculpt, and we could always go back and paint it again. Go to weight map. All right, and we could go ahead and go to draw. Let's say I want to set this to blue. All right, so I'm gonna paint this out. Paint more of this. Right. Okay. And go. Bit more of this. All right. And let me see how it looks like. Show everything. Yeah, let me go ahead and render this out. See what we're working with. Alright, so that is so much better. I actually want him, if you want him to have more of a fade, then you gotta spend a little bit more time refining your weight map. But this is actually pretty good because I want him to have a more of a thicker hair, like he hasn't shaved his head, you know. So this is exactly more of what I'm going for. And another thing that you could do is you could also select your hair sculpt, right? And you could also like scale that down. So if I go ahead and just scale it down, there's going to be a difference here. And if I go ahead and render this out, you see less of the hair. All right. So really up to you how you want it. I actually, let's see. That's actually pretty good. That's actually pretty good. But I think I want more of the hair showing. So I'm going to go and do that. All right. I do want more of the hair show. And I think I could add a little bit more of the hair around this area. So I could go to my hair sculpt again. And I'm going to go and hide my children hair. And then go back to weight paint. And I can't see it. I'm going to shift H. Go to weight paint. All right. And I could go ahead and, if I want, I could set the display amount to 100 so I could still see what I'm working with. And I can go to my smear. So you could set this to any value you want as you're painting. So let's say I want to still see the effect as I'm painting this. I could still have a little bit of the children hair showing. And I could go to smear and then just kind of smear this down to show more of the hair on the side. Cool. Something like that. Very nice. So it's showing more on the side as I need to. Alright, and I'm going to go ahead and set this back to 300. And render that out. Alright, good. So I could definitely see more of the hair here. And it looked like he's pretty rough, which is fine. That's exactly what I want. I want him to be rough. And you know what? Maybe let me try scaling this down, the scalp. See how that looks like. Right. Okay. I might leave it like that, but I think I'll leave it like this for now. Okay, so I like how it's dirty, but not as dirty. I could always change it later, let's say in Unreal Engine. Maybe I don't like how it looks like in Unreal. I could always adjust it and scale it back up. But yeah, I think this is more or less what I'm trying to go for, this type of hair. Now, if you're going for more of that clean cut look, that fade clean cut look, you go to the hair particles and to the vertex group. You could also apply that same hair map. You could put it on the length here and you will be able to see the difference. If I go click here and choose that same hair map, you can see that we have more of that faded look. And I think if I go ahead and scale this up, you're going to be able to see it more. You see that you got that nice fade going. Let me see you render that out. All right. So if that's the type of look you're going for, you could do that. But I actually want him, like I said before, I want him to look like he hasn't shaved in a long time. So I'm just going to go ahead and just remove this. Yeah, I'm going to keep it like that.